Hello, friends, and welcome to CareersTalk, the go to channel for everything and anything related to Scrum Master interviews. I am Suresh Sharma, an Agile consultant based in Netherlands, and today we are going to discuss situational Scrum Master interviews asked in leading before consulting firm. And to help us, we have Ankur Ranka with us, a seasoned Scrum Master with over 18 years of hands on experience. And friends, before we start, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe because we have thousands of real interview questions with some great answers from industry experts. And if you like this session, hit that like button. So without further delay, let's get started. Welcome, Ankur, and thank you for giving your time today. Ankur, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Sunan, and hello everyone. And thanks, Career Talk, again, getting me on board for this wonderful opportunity to share my thoughts, what probable possible scenarios one can get into when it comes to Scrum Master interviews, and let's see how it goes. And Sunan, when you keep throwing up me the questions, and I'll make sure that I just what is asked for. And as Sid briefly just spoke about me, my name is Ankur Ranka, and I have a brief experience of around 18 odd years now in this IT industry, working with Agile for almost 8 to 9 years now. And yeah, Agile Scrum Mastering, Agility Lead, coaching, mentoring, this all has been my learning curve all these years, and it's still that I'm
Wonderful.
learning. I mean, like I would not still say myself as an expert. We're still learning as we move along, right? So yeah, let's just take it forward now.
Sure, Ankur. Okay. So what we have done, Ankur, that because we have a situational question and then a couple of follow-up questions. So what I have done, I have prepared a PPT and I just put it all the questions over. So it will easy for our viewers as well to look into the question. Okay, so I just going to share the PPT with you and then let's take from there. Okay, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep, sure,
Okay,
I can.
so let's see what we have. Okay, so the first question is you're a Scrum Master in ABC company and your team is working on a new project about 6 months and they're currently in the middle of a development process. The team is made up of 8 developers and a one product owner. So that's a little bit about a project. And now the team is experiencing a number of challenges. So let's see what are the challenges. First one is about the lack of clear direction and priorities from the PO. So of course, yeah, that's pretty common. And then poor communication and collaboration among the team members, difficulty in estimating and completing the work within a sprint, and low morale due to high pressure and long hours. So whatever the worst thing which can happen to our project is there in front of you, Ankur. So
Yeah,
please tell us like one by one how you are going to help this Scrum Master.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this is fine. I mean, this is not just be it a new project, existing ongoing project, or project with experienced people, new Scrum Master, whatever, right? We do face these challenges, and I mean, maybe it would not be as straight as it's put down there in the question, but we do have a share bit of experience, and how do we need to go about, right? So. It's a typical scenario. So, as a Scrum Master, be it me, be it you, what would be your role be? So, your primary role will be to first, facilitate and guide the team towards managing these challenges, to overcoming and resolving these challenges. So, I mean, the conclusion is asking for, right, so that the team becomes more effective and efficient. So, what would you do in the case one, where it says lack of clear direction and priorities from product owner resulting in confusion and wasted effort? Okay, let's just think about, I mean, let's not be bad biters to our product owners though, but yeah, such situations can arise. So what is the first primary step that you take? Probably you go around and make sure that you facilitate a backlog refinement session. When you facilitate that session, you bring the product owner, you bring your development team together, right? They have a discussion, they have a Q&A, they get their doubts resolved, be it on both sides, be it from the business perspective, be it from the tech perspective, tech understanding what business wants, business understanding how can tech do it, get it complete, get those things completely sorted out, get the needful done to a fruitful conclusion. and that should help you. Your backlog refinement would then be you probably have a thorough backlog for things to pick up for your development work. That would win-win situation not just for you but even for the product owner. It can give your product owner view of what things can I he or she can prioritize in order to go about the development work. Right. So that's the next big thing. What's the second best thing that you can do? So the second best thing that you can do is encourage regular product owner engagement. I mean that product owner, it cannot just be limited to product owner, but maybe another business SMEs or stakeholders that are involved as well, where you get them and the team to regularly interact with each other. So when I say regular, it should not be every day in the week, but the frequency should be such that you, I mean, you as a facilitator make sure that the team is getting the answers to what the questions they have or concerns are getting resolved. At the same time, there is something regular feedbacks. Uh, these regular engagements can even bring about a trust factor on both sides. So that should really help. And maybe the third best thing that you can do is like uh, when you're doing, as I said, like facilitate the backlog refinement session. So when you have that, you have your user stories laid out. Maybe the the most feasible thing that you would do is like get your user stories acceptance criteria defined and completely reviewed by the product owner. So that gives a tick. Okay, this is exactly what we need. This is exactly how we need to go about, right? And the conversations there also could bring out something or the other new. Maybe it could bring out maybe altogether an new requirement. I mean, or something to add on to, which could be more critical than something which is already there on the backlog, right? So these three things can help you. That's facilitating backlog refinement sessions, regular engagements with your POs, and defining and reviewing your acceptance criteria. Now let's move to the scenario two, where it says poor communication and collaboration, right? Poor communication, collaboration among your team members, leading to delays and rework. Now, what you do? Firstly, get the team along. Maybe take them into a room, or maybe completely isolate them for some time from their work. Right? Take them in a room and do a retrospective with them. Right? You do a retrospective with them and try to understand where the team is lagging. Why are we lagging at communications? Why are we falling short of collaboration? Try to understand it from the team. Make sure each one is equally open enough in raising what they have, and surely most of the things are getting answered with no personal grudges against each other. It's just like it's a team, so it has to be a win-win situation for a team, right? Because at the end of the day, together everyone achieves more, right? That's what team is all about. So conducting the retrospectives. Secondly, implementing daily stand-ups again, right? With so that it gives clearly team the guidance where the day is headed to, where the day is progressing, or how far have we progressed. The next best thing that you could do is like get in a mode where teams work in pair programming, or you can say programming. That's the new buzzword these days, right? Pair program, right? Maybe one or two individuals or more than two individuals working together on a particular user story, right? Then it becomes a make or check a thing as well. There is something that is getting developed at the same time it is getting reviewed as well. You can maybe this pair programming can even get you into a TDD approach, test driven development, right? So on and so forth. And last but not the least, in order to make sure your collaboration is completely transparent and trustworthy, introduce the collaboration tools which could be best to the team's usage. I mean, one big collaboration tool most of us would be using it, right? It could be Jira, right? Make sure that things are visual enough and it's there, so everybody has a view of, "Oh, okay, what is going on, what is not going on, where are we falling short, what is it that we need to really pull up our socks on." So when it comes down to this scenario of poor communication and collaboration, which is leading to delays and rework, so I guess my four best options would be conducting a team retrospective, implementing daily stand-ups again, promoting pair programming, and introducing collaboration tools. Let's move to the third one. It says difficulty estimating and completing work within the time allotted for each sprint. right? So when we come into this situation, maybe the team has is still scoping up and trying to understand what estimation is all about, or how far we can get our work done in how much amount of time. So the very first thing you do, moment from scenario one, you have your product backlog, right? Or maybe you have sprint backlog as well. You get into a mode where you get the team along and do a sprint planning, right? The sprint planning, which is a three phase process, right? Where you understand why we are doing something, what we are going to do, and how we are going to do it. You get an answer to these three things, and you are set to go with your sprint work. The next best thing, in terms of like if you have a difficulty in estimating or completing your work, right, is you're reviewing and adjusting your team's velocity expectations. When I say so, you take a good amount, you take a historical data where you have an experience, where you get a fair bit of information about how your past sprints have fared, right? And so you get an average amount of velocity number, which tells you, okay, this is where my teams are baselined enough to work upon. This is what they can consume in, and this is what fits into their feasible capacity. Then comes into focusing on continuous improvement, right? That's the key, right? Unless and until you don't look to improve, it's just like you're just for doing what is asked for you to be done. But if you're looking to get into the improvement aspect of it, maybe this could lead to one thing. It could lead is like it could get to a point where there is a lot less on your head when it comes to tech debts, right? And last but not the least is reinforce your definition of done as a working agreement between your team members. What surely, as a team, you think this is my definition of done, for me to give a clear go ahead that, okay, once my story is, I said done, okay, these are the set of items, these are the set of checklist items are answered. Okay, code review done, J units done, then if there are any code or pull requests, have they been merged into the dedicated branch as expected? Any non-functional things have been the non-functional requirement things like your coverage aspect, your uh, uh, number of lines of code, whatever the way you want to define it, right? Are done from a testing aspect. Automation is done, or maybe a review is done. Sprint review is done. That could be your DoD as well. So yeah, so in this case, my top four take-ons would be conducting a sprint planning workshop, reviewing and adjusting your velocity expectations, look on the path to continuously improve, and last but not the least, make sure that you have a very thorough definition of done. Okay, let's get to the fourth one. It says low morale due to high pressure and long hours. Oh wow, this one is good. Like, so what would you do as a Scrum Master in this situation? First, as again, get into a mode of retrospect again with the team and trying to understand what is the root cause of adding the team into this situation where everybody is feeling low morale, or there is a situation of high pressure, team are facing long hours, right? Maybe from that you can get to a point where you understand what's a sustainable pace for a team, right? That this is the max pay, this is the maximum how far we can that sustainable pace. So keep promoting that. Okay, we still would look to improve on it as we gain the momentum, as we gain the experience. Celebrates your wins, and celebrates your wins and progresses that are going around. Build a lot of get into mode of facilitating a lot of team building activities, be it offline, your working hours, or maybe weekends, or maybe any sort of you get a circumstance where you can get your team to get along with each other, right? So team building activities. And lastly, but not the least, provide support at every point of time to your team members, and encourage self-care, right? Is what I feel, right? So in this case, when you really are down and you feel the pressure, you feel you're getting too overstretched, I guess as a Scrum Master, you need to sense that what you need to do, as I said, address these things in a retrospective. Where I mean, moving away from a typical retrospective, this is more from a team culture, team setup, team working momentum in retrospective is what I'm all talking about. Promote the pace of your sprints, which is sustainable. celebrates your wins and progresses, and team building activities, and last but not the least, provide enough support to your team members and give them the part that they are encouraged enough for their own self care as too, not just them but others within the team as well. That keeps building the trust and respect. Okay, so to all summarize all this, right? If even when you're doing all this, even when you're taking care of all these scenarios, right? I mean, probable solutions in all these scenarios, what to do at every step, right? At every case, monitoring your progress is the utmost of importance. And last but not least, as you keep monitoring your progress, at every point you adapt, you evolve, you adapt, you evolve. It's you cannot continue the same thing, right? Over a period, you need to adapt to something or the other or something different. And once you adapt it, you need to evolve in that adaptation. So that's my entire take on it, Sunat. And I guess if there is
Yeah.
any further more that you want to ask to this.
No, no, no. I think you just, elaborated pretty well. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay. We have many more questions. So let's move on, Ankur.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So let's see what we have on our next slide. Okay. Okay. So company A is a software development company. They recently adopted the Scrum framework for the project management. Company has a team of 10 developers working on a new project. They have just completed their first sprint. The team consists of Scrum Master, PO, and 8 developers. So the Scrum Master Sarah has been with company for several years and has a lot of experience using Scrum, but she is struggling to get the team to follow the Scrum framework and is having difficulty keeping the team on track. Okay, so one of the main issue Sarah is facing is the team is not completing their daily scrums. So there are issue with the daily scrum calls. Sarah is also having trouble to getting the team to accurately estimate their work, completing their sprint commitments. Some team members are underestimating their workload. And finally, Sarah is having trouble facilitating the effective sprint planning and review meetings. These meetings are meant to be collaborative and focused, but they are often dominated by a few team members and do not result in a clear action items. Okay, I think again these are yeah, I mean lot of things which actually also happen in the normal scenarios.
Yeah. I
So
mean, just the way I look at it, right? So this is just an
mhm,
extension of what we discussed in the previous one, right?
correct, correct.
Yeah, it's just an extension. So, where all Sara is facing the issues, right? I mean, although it's broken down into three major sub cases, let's just summarize it on the whole. So, what if I am Sarah and I'm facing these common challenges? So, what would I do so that my teams adopt to agile practices and become more effective and efficient? Right? So, there would be a structured approach that I would go into, right? So, the very first thing, where the point of inconsistency in daily scrum calls. So pretty much put the foot down. The first thing would I would look forward to do as Sarah is like improving my daily scrum meetings. Right? How do I improve that? Reinforce within the teams the importance of it. It's a quick 15 minutes updates. And when I say updates, it's updates, it's not status. You're not sharing your status, you're sharing your quick updates, what you did, what you've already done, what you currently planning to do, right? And where are you facing any issues or blockers, right? That's those three dimensions is what you need to give a quick update of. And this call needs to be conducted daily at the same time, right? With no change there, right? And it should be a quick 15-minute call or maybe 15-minute stand up if you're in working in the office, right? So that's what you do. When I say you need to address to these three dimensions, that's what you're doing as by reinforcing, you're setting clear expectations that this is what I expect, right? I would not let the meeting get overstretched. If there is something which you need to discuss about at length, maybe just park it out and do it after the stand up is done, right? Make sure the time is effectively managed. So when I say 15 minutes, it is 15 minutes. And everybody should be available. Teams need to be punctual enough and make sure that they're not missing out on it. Just in case, in an exceptional cases, uh, if any team member is not being able to make for it, It's his or her responsibility to make sure they share their updates to their team, either by dropping a note on an email, or if there is any open Teams communication, be it internal communication chat of your corporate, or uh, where you would be engaging regularly with your team members. Make sure to get that updated there. And through this, it's maybe it could for it might just look at 15 minutes, but it needs to be as engaging as possible as well, right? But as engaging, but it should not be somebody completely overshadowing it, right? That's the first piece. Second and foremost, I would look forward to do is how I keep enhancing work estimations and my sprint commitments. So it's when it boils down to estimations, first I'll introduce the teams back to using relative estimation, something like a planning poker, t-shirt sizing, etc., and so on and so forth. Conduct estimation workshops for them. Give them high probable scenarios, that in such scenarios, how would you estimate? Why would you estimate this? Get them in those engaging conversations. Uh, Try to look from your previous sprints what you've learned, review them, what you've learned in terms of like, were we good enough in terms of estimation there, and how have we progressed now? Let me make it pretty clear, everybody. When we say estimation, it's an estimates. It's more relative in nature. It cannot be accurate, right? And this should help you to set more realistic sprint goals, in the sense like, okay, this sprint, probably I would end up doing the database upgrade for dev environment. Okay. I know I need to do it for all environments, but I cannot take too much on my plate at one go, right? Maybe I'll start with my dev first. Once I've done with my dev, it's validated completely. Then I move to my test. Then I move to my UAT. Then I move to my maybe a perf environment, then prod like environment, so on and so forth, right? Break it down that way. So they had that, so that helps you give the realistic sprint goal. Okay, this sprint only 10. Maybe next sprint is something similar. Okay, the next higher environment, so on and so forth, right? Let's move further. Then what would I do? Since I'm facing this typical struggles of my teams adopting to agile practices as Sarah, what I'll do, I would get into the mode of planning, facilitating my sprint planning and review meeting, which at the end of the day just don't turn out to be efficient, but it turns out to be effective as possible as well. So what should, in order to make them sure that they're effectively run, what would I do first? I would make sure that there is equal participation, there is good amount of participation, and all the major parties. So when I say major parties, the major stakeholders are there. When I say stakeholders, it's even your development team is there, right? Next, focus on the outcomes there, and not the focus on the outcomes and not the output. Focus on the outcomes, what you're going to get, and how does that help you draw action items. Again, a time boxed event, which is pretty much key, and it should be run in a way where the complete mindset and the focus is to improve at every step, right? Okay, now we've done this, now I need to move to the next, how we can improve it from moving from year to year. That's how your discussion should run. Okay. Then the next possible option is to go about, in order to address these struggles, is building up accountability and cohesion within your teams. When I say building up accountability, you keep promoting your teams to be as self-organized as possible. Lead by example. As a Scrum Master, you lead by example. You set some positive example within your teams, which makes sure them to thrive to that. Uh, Address the issues of your team privately. So when we always say appreciate in public, but uh, I mean, kind of if you want to appreciate in public, and if you want to just take things which are rather falling apart, discuss them in privately. And yes, building accountability. Okay, celebrating your team's success, clearly defining the roles and responsibility within their teams, who owns what, who does what, kind of a thing. If needed, the next best thing is like, you can look to seek external support. When I say external support, maybe consider somebody to coach your teams. Can you team put your teams on the learning path of agile related syllabus and all that? And within all this, it's like just when Sarah as a Scrum Master is trying to do this, she is also going through a lot, right? And we go through a lot. So it also comes to like managing your own stress, right? Managing your own stress and your own self care as well. So when we said that we need to pace our sprints at one point, we need to even pace ourselves as human beings. And that's what I would expect as a Scrum Master. Yep. So that's again my take on it, Sunan. I mean, like just to summarize it, improving your daily scrums, enhancing your estimations and sprint commitments, facilitating sprint plannings and review meetings to be as effective as possible, building accountability within your teams, seeking support externally if needed, and as an individual trying to manage your own personal stress and expectations. That's my complete take on this one.
Wonderful, Ankur. Yeah, thanks for summarizing that. Okay, I think let's move on.
Yep.
Okay, thankfully it's little small compared to the previous two slides. Okay, so company has been using Scrum for a year, but they feel that their sprint could be more efficient. So as a Scrum Master, what matrices would you implement to measure the efficiency and productivity of the sprints? And how would you use these matrices to drive the continuous improvement? So it's all about matrices as a Scrum Master to, yeah, measure the
Yep.
efficiency, yeah,
Yeah.
productivity. Yeah,
So when it comes down to agile matrix, sprint matrix, right, it can differ from, I mean, organization to organization. I would not still say project to project or team to team, but it would still differ from organization to organization, because that's something that's pretty much the benchmark for everyone. Okay, this is how we would kind at the end of the day evaluate you as teams, or evaluate your maturity as teams, evaluate your delivery as teams, right? So there could be many matrices, right? Many different metrics, but some which one I would really be keen enough to mention here is number one, your velocity. Now, what does it measure? It completely measures the total amount of work that you completed in the sprint, right? You establish a baseline of it by tracking your velocity over multiple sprints, and then you draw a trend, right? So maybe you take a good enough data of 5 to 6 sprints, and then you finally get, okay, based on my 6 month, 6 sprint average, this is the maximum velocity that my teams can deliver. It helps you draw capacity too. Effectively use it during a sprint planning and commitment meetings as sprint planning meetings, and that's where it lays you the ground to commit what you have to do or what can you do. The next best thing is, from a matrix point of view, would be a sprint burn down chart. So it clearly measures the remaining work in your sprint backlog versus the time that you have within the sprint left. And then you analyze it and see the trend. So if you see a steady trend where there is I mean a steady decline, so it indicates the teams is progressing well. So as it's a step down at every moment, so you can understand the teams are progressing well. But if it's pretty much completely flat and erratic here and there, it indicates there are a lot of bottlenecks and issues in the team. So you need to get that addressed, and you can use this into your retrospectives to identify the patterns. What patterns are we following when we burn down our work in the sprint? The next would be a cycle time. This is something that measures the time taken for your user story to move from in progress to done, right? And you track this for different issue types and understand the time it takes to deliver that value. Any outliers to streamline the process and reduce it, right? There could be outliers as well. Similar to the cycle time, I would even look at this lead time, right? It's like the time taken when the request was made till the time until it is completed, right? You monitor the lead time to understand the overall efficiency of your development process, sorry, not your teams, and from when it was requested. The longer the lead time requires improvement by addressing the bottlenecks, right? In refining the process, and that's how is your intake process and how it is out. What's the outcome? So that's your lead time. There is still many. Maybe some to mention is your defects escape that keeps a track of defects found in the sprint after it is completed, right? Then it could be your throughput, number of work items completed in the sprint. Uh, Maybe some I would say. what you would say, this like maybe not completely a matrix which would give you the number perspective, but you can still track it. What is a sprint goal success rate? When you define your goals, uh, a sprint over sprint, you can measure its percentage, right? So that's your sprint goal success rate. What's your team happiness or satisfaction index, right? I mean, we just spoke, right? In the previous scenario, teams were feeling the pressure, low morale, and all that. So get in this aspect of measuring your team happiness or satisfaction. This is more qualitative in nature rather than quantitative, but this can help bring you long-term productivity within your teams, right? Improving your team's morale at every stage can help you uh, work more closely with your teams, help your team members collaborate much better. And last but not the least, just as we said, the sprint goal success rate, right? Similarly, could be your retrospective actions completion rate. You define these many retrospective actions. In how much amount of time have you got them completed, or how many retrospective actions have you got completed? Right? That's a sign of a healthy team, right? So these are some of the metrics to mention, Sanand. I mean, yeah, your velocity, sprint burn down, cycle time, lead time, escape defects, throughputs, sprint goal success rate, or your retrospective items completion rate, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Ankur, for sharing all these matrices with us.
Sure.
Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay. So, ABC Corporation is a large multinational company that recently adopted Agile methodology for its development teams. So, as an Agile coach, you have been hired to help the team transition to the Agile and improve their performance. So, one of the team you're working with is struggling with delivering high quality software on time. They're missing their deadlines, and the PO is frequently complaining about the quality of the deliverables. So, what approach would you take to help the team to improve their performance? And some
Wow.
actions, if you can, yeah, share with
Wow.
us.
Wonderful. So you need to improve your team's performance where they're really struggling to deliver what is expected of them. It's high quality, no doubt, but they're still struggling with it. So in order to do this, uh, there's a combination of a lot of diagnosis from a root cause of the struggles to fostering a culture of continuous improvement. There are a lot many things that could be involved, but there's a small take on it. Here's an approach that you can follow. Number one is assessment and diagnosis. When I say assessment and diagnosis, is observe initially. Initially just observe, facilitate your retrospectives, and review your past sprint, and assess at every point where are we falling short, right? And the diagnosis to it would be where we need to really improve, right? Both from from a quality as well as quantity perspective. The next best thing is really when it comes down to quality, how you can address your quality issues. Will implementing TDD help you, or will introducing pair programming help you? Should I strengthen my definition of review and definition of ready? How can I enhance or get better with my code review processes? Right. So to help things get delivered with better quality. Then I would move on is improving in order to improve your delivery and meeting deadlines. Make your sprint plannings more realistic. I mean, it should not be okay. So and so said, so we need to do this. No, understand it. Why we really need to do this? How we gonna do this? What we gonna do? Uh, how how can break down your user story into the smaller fragments that you can be able to manage it well within the defined time. How you can limit your work in progress, right? Limiting your whips is what we say. Focus enough on your daily scrums, and not just daily scrum. I would rather say majority of your scrum ceremonies. It should be focused enough. It should be time boxed enough. It should start on time, end on time. Punctuality is the key here. Then the next best option I would like to suggest is how I can enhance collaboration and communication within my team. Again, regular cadence with your POs. Uh, if I need to enhance collaboration, right? promote the culture of collaboration. Unless and until you would not collaborate, you would not be able to achieve what you want, or you would not be able to sustain enough in this in the team setup, right? I need to build a culture where of continuous improvement. How I do it? Make sure my retrospectives are as regular as possible. I'm celebrating my team's successes, and at the same time, at every given point, if my team needs adequate trainings or support, I am trying to line them up. Okay. Then gets into coaching and mentoring aspect. You can do coaching on an individual basis, one to one. You can mentor for key roles within the teams, uh, uh, and not just one to one. You can even do one to one mentoring. You can do one to many mentoring as well. I mean, like on the group, on the whole. To look into that aspect. The importance of monitoring, then comes the importance of monitoring your progress and adjusting your approach. When I say monitoring your progress, it keep a track of your metrics, as like, are are we consistent even enough, or we are completely going off the roof. So monitoring the progress, keeping a track of your metrics will help you that. And at every given moment, I need to keep adjusting. Can I look to push myself a bit more now, or should I still need to maintain that consistency? So that matrix would give you that picture enough. And last but not the least, engaging your stakeholders, and this even involves your leadership, right? Your leadership is one of your key stakeholders, because that they are the ones who give you that path to go ahead and do these things, right? Do adapt to agile and all that, adopt to agile, and they are the ones who give you that opportunity where you try and working the such culture. Now, using all this, right? Using all this, how you can make sure that there is the continuous improvement is still met. So what you need to do in order to make sure your continuous improvement is still met, have a regular reviews within your teams, set uh set idealistic goals for your team. Don't confuse it with the sprint goals. Idealistic goals is like, okay, maybe this is what we've already defined to do in the sprint. Can we also try to push ourselves to do something more additional? Maybe it could be just 5% extra or 2% extra from a quality aspect, but can we try to do it, right? Look forward to adjust at every iteration, and overall keep maintaining transparency, trust and respect at all levels. And that culture should be promoted every time, so that your teams feel self-empowered, and they feel that they belong here, right? So that's my entire take on it, Sunan. That's how me as an agile coach would look forward to improve the team's performance, or enable them to improve their performance overall.
Okay, thanks, Ankur, for sharing that complete step-by-step roadmap. Wonderful. Okay. Uh, okay, so yes, I think we want to keep this session a little time box. So I think it's close to half an hour. And of course, we will have more sessions with Ankur in future. So part two coming soon. So if you have friends learned something new today, show your love by hitting that like button. And if there is anything you don't like, please drop a comment with your suggestions and improvements. So of course, we'll take them forward. And yeah, don't forget to share this video and like, subscribe. So with this, thank you, Ankur, and thanks everyone for watching the session. Thank you, Ankur.
Thanks so much, Sunan. Thanks everyone again for hearing me out. And once again, thanks to Sunan and CareersTalk to give me this opportunity. I definitely look forward to engaging with you all in future too, and maybe provide as much help as I can and
Of course,
contribute best to this group. Right?
of course, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ankur. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Sunan. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
wonderful talking to you. Have a great day.
yeah.
Bye.
Bye, bye.